Welcome to week one of our new series called FAQ 2010. You've got questions? Well, the Bible has answers. You know, where the Bible speaks clearly about your question, we're going to stand beside it and not waver a bit. But where the Bible doesn't speak clearly about a question you have, we'll look for principles to apply and then give you our opinion. And of course, you're welcome to disagree. You know, at Experience Life, we can disagree on the non-essentials, but we'll always major on the majors and minor on the minors. So let's get started with your questions.
Are people born gay?
When is sex not okay?
Do pets go to heaven?
Does a tithe have to go to the church?
Will we be married in heaven?
What's the big deal about getting drunk?
Do I tithe off net or gross?
Will you go to heaven if you commit suicide?
Will we recognize each other in heaven?
What's allowed and not allowed sexually in the marriage bed?
Why do bad things happen to good people?
Why do bad things happen to good people? It's a great question. Before we even try to begin to answer it, I honestly think God gets jobbed with this part of our life. If something horrible happens randomly in our lives, it's always His fault. And we turn to Him and, God, why are you doing this to us? But then when random good things happen in our life, it's like we deserve it. And He never gets the credit for those things. But this is a great question, man. Why do bad things happen to good people? When we started this journey in our life, we had a lot of people come up and tell us theological answers to this question. None of it helped any at all. Honestly, what I learned from this was if you're given a theological answer to a question like this, you're probably not in a bad season in your life. Because when you're in a bad season, you really don't care that the world is broken. I get that. And we heard that a lot. We heard that it's things like that are going to happen because sin has entered into the world and the world is tainted. I got that. I even understood that, that inherently it's just a bad question. It's not why do bad things happen to good people. It should be why do bad things happen to bad people, because all of us are bad. We all have sin. I understand all of that. But none of it helped. I finally had some people that started pointing me to different scriptures. They pointed me to John 16:33, where Jesus said, while you're here on this planet, expect trials, expect bad things to happen to you, expect horrible things to happen on this planet, expect sorrow, but don't worry about it because I've overcome the world. That started to give me a little bit of hope. Matthew 11, verse 28, where Jesus said, man, if you're struggling and your burden is heavy, come to me and I'll take care of it and I'll make your burden light. That started to give me a little bit of hope. But honestly, what carried us through this was the fact that no matter who you are, that pain and sorrow has no prejudice. It doesn't matter where you're at in life. It doesn't matter your skin color. It doesn't matter your size. I mean, short people, tall people, fat people, skinny people. It doesn't matter. We all have pain and sorrow. It doesn't matter what job you have. It doesn't matter if you're loaded, if you're poor, if you're rolling 22s or 15s. Pain doesn't matter. It's going to attack everybody. And when it hits us, it's how we deal with it. And what has carried my family through this was the fact that it's not our burden to carry. And I don't know where you're at today. Maybe you're in here today and you're in the middle of a problem and you're in the middle of a struggle, and that's why you're here. You're trying to find an answer to this question. Why do bad things happen to good people? Let me disappoint you early. I have no idea. I'm just going to be honest. I don't know why bad things happen to bad people or good people. I don't know why they happen to bad people either. I don't know why bad things happen in general, but I know this. I know that Jesus willfully left heaven, stepped on this planet, and lived a perfectly sinless life and died on a cross, paying the penalty for my sins. And all the pain and all the struggle and all the stupid things that I will do and all the things that I've ever done, He paid the penalty for those. And He died for me. And 3 days later, praise God, He rose from the dead and He conquered the most difficult thing that this world will ever throw at us, which is death. He beat that. And He did it so we would never have to go through any of this stuff on our own. I don't know where you're at right now. I don't know what you're struggling with. I want to give you a verse that helped me through it. This is something that brought me a lot of hope. So if maybe you're in a dark place right now and you're struggling, you should write this down. It's Psalms 40. It's the first 3 verses. And just listen to this. This gave me and my wife and my family just a ton of hope. It says, I waited patiently for the Lord to help me, and He turned to me, and He heard my cry. He lifted me out of the pit of despair, out of the mud and the mire. He set my feet on solid ground and steadied me as I walk along. He has given me a new song to sing, a hymn of praise to our God. Many will see what He has done and be amazed. They will put their trust in the Lord. Many will see what He has done and they'll be amazed and they'll put their trust in the Lord. I don't know a lot. But I know this. I know that our bodies and our minds, we're not designed to carry burdens like this. That's why Jesus stepped out of heaven, and that's why he wants to come in and have that relationship with you. So when these bad things happen, which they're going to happen to all of us, it's just a part of being here. He wants you to know today that if that's you, man, if you're struggling with that, you don't have to carry that burden by yourself. You're not designed to do that. That's why you're miserable right now. You're not designed to carry that burden, and that's what Jesus wants to do for you. And it's awesome if you think about it. I mean, maybe you've never trusted him, and I just want to tell you, man, my question for you is, what are you waiting for? You're struggling right now. Why not give in to the one that's powerful enough to create the universe and beat the only thing that's worse than anything this world will throw at you in death? He conquered that. And right now is willing to step out of heaven and forgive you. And what amazes me in this is that just like problems and sorrow, they have no prejudice, neither does Jesus. He doesn't care what color you are. He doesn't care what size you are. He doesn't care what stage of life you're in, what you've done, what you're doing. He doesn't care. He loves you so much that he willfully left heaven, came here and died for you to carry you through the problems that you're struggling with right now. And maybe today, this is the first time you've ever heard that. Can I just say, man, what are you waiting for? Why not give in to the one that can save you? And it's so simple. It's just you standing before God and saying, Jesus, the best that I know how. Would you step out of heaven and would you step into my life and would you save me? Jesus, would you carry my problems and my burdens? And Jesus, would you make me whole? And according to God's word, Jesus will come into your life and he will carry these burdens for you. And don't get me wrong, you're still going to have problems and sorrows. That is a part of this life. But it's an amazing feeling knowing that you don't have to burden those by yourself. I was talking to Josh before this weekend, and he started telling me the numbers of people that have heard this song and started sending me emails that he's received. And I started looking back at emails that we've received because of this song and because of the story that God has given our son. And millions of people have heard about God's grace because of my son going through this. Millions of people have emailed and said, man, I was dealing with something really similar to that, and this song gives me hope. Your son's story gives me peace. And millions of people have heard for the first time who Jesus is because of this. And it amazes me to think that God could take something that the world would see as bad and horrible and use it for something beautiful and good. My challenge for you is this, man, if you have never experienced Jesus today, I would ask you to, what are you waiting for? Give in, commit your life to Jesus and just, Jesus, the best I know how, I'm yours. Let us know, fill it out on one of the connection cards. Check the box that says you're committing your life to Christ. Take it to the back in the Welcome Center, to one of the Next Step centers on your way out. We've got a gift we would love to give you that will help further this walk in your life. But what are you waiting for? Believers today that are struggling and you're fighting with this and you're struggling, can I give you the advice that my wife gave me? She's so much smarter than I am. She looked at me through this and she said, Tim, if we can trust God with our eternity, why can't we trust him with our now? So wherever you're at, believers, if you're struggling today, you're trusting God for eternity, which is a really long time, why not give in and trust him with whatever's going on right now? And let him have control over that. And let the one who was built and the one who was designed and the one who is powerful enough to shoulder our burdens carry that load. Again, I don't know where you're at today. I hope this gives you some type of peace. I hope it's not a cop-out. I'm really sorry I'm not smart enough to answer this question. But honestly, if you're struggling right now, if I could give you an answer, I don't think it would help. It did absolutely nothing for me. What I will give you is hope. There's a God that loves you. He loved you so much, he died for you. And his desire is to carry your burden and to one day give you a place where sickness has never entered. My hope, my family's hope is that one day my son is going to walk into a place where he will never have to go to another doctor. A place where sickness has never entered. And we're going to get to be a part of a day where he never again has to go through another procedure or another test. And that's what we look forward to because that's the promise of Jesus through heaven. So if you're struggling today, my question for you isn't why do bad things happen? It's what are you waiting for? Give in and receive the grace from the God who loves you. Next question is a whole lot easier. So here's the next one.
What's up, guys? We get a lot of questions about worship at Experience Life. It's obviously a huge part of what we do. So I thought I'd let some of the guys help me answer some of these. And so this is Micah Vasquez. He plays bass for us. This is Mark Tatum. He's one of our worship leaders. And that's Danielle Burgett. She's one of our vocalists. First question we're going to talk about is why do we do so many secular songs? If this is supposed to be a church, why are we doing secular songs? I'm going to let Micah handle this one.
Well, the reason we do secular songs is simply because it reaches out to people outside of the church. Mark and Laura are actually telling me about a couple that came in about a few weeks ago, and I think the guy was kind of dragged to come to church. He wasn't really wanting to, just kind of because his wife or girlfriend, I can't remember, wanted him to come. And it was the morning we did a Nirvana song, and we did a Come As You Are, and he said that the second he heard that, he was really interested in what we had to say and has been coming ever since.
That's a really good example. Yeah. And really everything we do at Experience Life, from the music we pick to the atmosphere we try to create, the heat in here, it's all due to the fact that we're trying to reach people that normally wouldn't want to come to church. We kind of have a concert atmosphere. We want people that hate church, I guess you could say, don't like churchy things, to feel comfortable here and to connect with things that we do. Next one, why do we raise our hands during worship? You guys might have wondered that before. I'm going to let Danielle handle this one.
Well, everybody worships differently, and everybody has different reasons as to why they raise their hands or not. I grew up actually in a very traditional church, and so I definitely understand that it can be maybe uncomfortable or intimidating if you're not used to raising your hands, which we didn't do that at all. But I finally came to a point in my walk with God where I realized that worship can be exciting, and that it can be expressive, and it's okay to raise your hands. It's okay to be crazy and jump around like Mark. It's okay to do that. Worship, all that it is a response to God and whatever He's doing in your life. And for me, that response is excitement and joy. And there's also times where my response is full of surrender and awe and just desperation for God. And just like a small child will walk up to his mom or dad with his arms raised, it's because he needs something. He needs comfort or protection, or he's hungry, or he's scared, or he just wants to be held. With that same attitude, when I'm worshiping, I'm also surrendering to the fact that I need God. I need God's comfort and His protection. So I'm going to raise my hands to the only one that can provide that.
That's good. Next question. You guys have, I know each of you have probably had this question. You may have even asked yourself today this question, but why does Mark dance around on stage? I'm going to let him answer that for you.
I've got this question a lot before, and as you could probably tell. But granted, we get to play some pretty cool songs at Experience Life, and we get the bass pumping in here, so it's pretty tempting to move around and tap your foot to begin with. But really, the reason, not only that I jump around on stage, but the reason that I'm on the stage, the reason that I'm here, is kind of like Tim was talking about. God sent His one and only Son to die for us, to forgive our sins, so that we could have an opportunity to spend eternity with Him in heaven. And while I'm up here singing and reading the words, singing the words, we are the redeemed, we're the ones who are free. Death has no sting. God is alive. When you really think about that and you put it all in context, and you think, God loved me and all of us enough to send His Son to die for us. Yeah, that's pretty cool, and that's pretty exciting. And that really makes me want to do just a little more than sit there and have my arms folded. It's I guess me jumping around is just not being able to contain the joy and the excitement and just everything that God brings. Just when you think about Him and what He's done for all of us. So that's why I jump on stage.
Yeah. He also likes the attention, so it works out, I guess. I thought it'd be cool for you guys to hear from our perspective, kind of what we see during worship. And I was going to ask Micah and Danielle a question, but from you guys' perspective, what's it like to lead people in worship and to see on their face, that connection with God that they have?
For me, it's amazing to see God's presence just it's always here, it's always present, but it's really amazing to see you guys let it take over you, let it just kind of consume you. And that's our jobs up here, is just to let God speak through us, through our instruments, through our music, and help lead you guys to the throne and just worship Him.
Danielle.
The very best feeling for me is getting to experience God's presence. And so when I get to see others experience God's presence, it's just a huge blessing. Sometimes I'll just take out my earphones and just listen as you sing. And I always think, this must be what heaven sounds like. Just thousands of voices raised in praise to God. It's a beautiful sound. And it's a beautiful thing to get to watch people connect with God. It encourages me. It makes me want more of God. And hopefully that's what we're doing up here. Hopefully we're encouraging you and making you want more of God as well. It's a great thing to get to see every week.
And maybe you're somebody that's just not, you're not what we call church. You weren't raised in a church. You don't know what the whole worship thing's about. Why do we even sing? Mark and I put together a video this week talking about why we worship and what that's all about. So check it out.
What is worship? I can tell you it's definitely not about me or about any one single person. It's about giving our whole selves to God. It's about thanking Him for what He's done. It's about worshiping Him and giving Him the praise and the honor that He's due.
Most of my life I've always thought that there must be different styles of worship. Different people worship in different ways, and some people are expressive, some people aren't expressive. Certain denominations are more expressive than others, but as I've grown in my relationship with God and worshiped and led worship for a lot of years, I don't know that I think that's true anymore. Yeah, there are a lot of us, and we have a lot of different personalities and a lot of different backgrounds, but there's only one God. Certainly, your personality is going to come across when you worship God. But there's not a person on the planet, if their heart is completely full of joy, that's not going to show on the outside. The little old lady, the sweet, quiet little old lady that wins the lottery isn't just going to, frown and roll her eyes and sip her coffee. She's going to get a little bit excited about what's just happened.
There'll be times during worship when you look out on the crowd and we're singing these incredibly powerful lyrics, and there's people, whispering to each other, drinking their coffee, sitting down, not really paying attention, texting, and it's just like, I kind of feel bad because I feel like they're missing out on what we're getting to be a part of, missing out on worshiping the creator of the universe, the God who sent His Son to die for me and for you and for everyone. I worship because God loved the world enough to send His Son to die for me and for every single person who's ever lived. And it's as plain and simple as that.
I worship with the realization that God saved me from my sins and He accepts me as I am. And I have never-ending gratitude for that.
In the Old Testament, the word that's used for worship literally means to lay prostrate on the ground, to lay face down on the ground before God. And all throughout the Bible, when that word is used, it's usually in a physical sense, whether it's bowing or kneeling or closing your eyes, raising your hands, clapping, dancing. It's a physical act of worship. And, obviously worship isn't all about emotion. It's easy to get emotional about it, but it's okay. God gave us those emotions. And like we're talking about, when you come to the realization of what God has done for you and what, how much He loves you and the wonderful gift that's been given to you, that's going to create some joy in you that's going to show on the outside. And there are times for me, I have trouble connecting in worship. And we talk about it all the time as a band before we come out, we refocus ourselves and remind ourselves why we're doing what we're doing, and to make sure that we're connecting with everything that we say and everything that we sing. And sometimes, though, I just don't want to go there, don't want to step out. And nearly every time that happens to me, what's going through my mind is I wonder what people are going to think of me. I wonder if people are going to laugh. I wonder if people are going to think that we look stupid. And what's happened right there when I did that is I took my eyes off of God and I put them on me. And that is the opposite of worship. And so I know you guys, you got a lot going on. There's a lot on your mind. You're uncomfortable with things, but God is only pleased with worship when it's done in truth. And all that means is that every word that you say and sing is coming from your heart, and you're really processing what you're saying. And it's just a prayer from you to God. And so today we're going to challenge you guys to worship in truth and to step out there and get out of your comfort zone and worship Him with all you've got. And it means blocking out all distractions, just locking your focus on Him, and go. Go with Him. And so no rules at all, but as we worship, just respond to Him in truth. God, we praise You for who You are. And we ask in this moment, God, that the worship that we give You would be pleasing to Your ears. God, let it be sincere, let it be real, not just an emotional response, God, but a true heartfelt response to the gifts that You've given us and for the fact that You're the Creator and You're worthy and holy. God, we lift You up.
Thanks for checking out one of our messages today. If you made a decision to commit your life to Christ, I'd love to know about it. You can email me at chris@experiencelifenow.com. Also, if you're interested in taking a next step, check out our website at experiencelifenow.com and click on Next Steps. Let us know if we can ever serve you in any way, and we look forward to seeing you soon.